The left loves to strut around in their moral superhero capes, saving the world one virtue signal at a time. But behind those shiny facades, let's just say the monsters don't stay hidden for long. It's less heroes saving the day and more wolves in sheep's clothing. And in the words of Cat Williams, it all ends up being exposed. And in that spirit, well, news broke yesterday that Jay-Z has been implicated in the Diddy lawsuit. Behind the music, more like behind the curtain, the ugly truth. The accusations paint a picture of some seriously disturbing behavior at the VMA's after party. The kind that takes their golden reputations and throws them straight onto the chopping block. And Jay-Z isn't staying quiet. He's coming out swinging in his defense. But moments like this have a way of cracking open the polished veneer of the so-called cultural champions the left loves to prop up. So their moral high ground, crumbling. The champions of culture, exposed. Let's take a look at everything that's happening. And a word of warning, some of the details are graphic. Thank you to Megan Cuniff on X for providing the full legal filing. She writes, here's a new lawsuit against Diddy that also names Jay-Z as a defendant. It accuses them of raping a 13-year-old girl in 2000. It was filed by attorney Tony Busby, whom Jay-Z has accused of extortion. Now, the filing starts with the bombshell allegations saying defendant Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Diddy, PD, and Love, along with his longtime friend and collaborator, Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, drugged and raped, I should say allegedly, even though it doesn't say it in the document, a 13-year-old girl at an after party following the 2000 VMAs. Another celebrity stood by and watched as Combs and Carter took turns assaulting the minor. Many others were present at the after party, but did nothing to stop the assault. Combs has been allowed for years to conduct himself in this manner without any consequences. He believes he is above the law. He is not. His close friend, Sean Carter, has been with Combs during many such instances described herein. Both perpetrators must face justice. The lawsuit then goes into great depth, describing what it calls Diddy's criminal empire disguised as a music empire. Think Bad Boy Entertainment meets Goodfellas. The accusations, brace yourselves, sexual abuse, molestation, rape, assault, coercion, sex trafficking, and forced labor, you name it, it's in there. Diddy's empire apparently wasn't built on beats and bling. It was built on broken lives and silenced victims. And you have to appreciate the left here, folks. They're always lecturing us on morality. They're the champions of women's rights, right? Except when it's convenient. Where are the moral high horses now? Apparently, they've been parked somewhere in Diddy's garage next to his luxury cars. Because for years, this guy allegedly used phrases like, this is what it takes to be famous, to manipulate young people into God knows what, while cozying up with Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, and any other Democrat Party leader. It's not just sleazy, it's criminal. I mean, just listen to the long list of victims attached to this nightmare. Cassie Ventura, Joy Dickerson-Neal, Lisa Gardner, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, Crystal McKinney, April Lamprose, Adria English, and John Angelique Richard. These aren't just names on a court document. They're people who were manipulated, assaulted, silenced, and ignored while the industry kept cashing checks and sipping champagne. The lawsuit spans decades, stretching back to the early 90s and continuing into recent years. The patterns are chilling, and they reveal how Hollywood elites protect predators and bury victims. But wait, there's more, because the lawsuit alleges drugs like GHB and Xanax were handed out at his parties like party favors. People getting drugged, assaulted, and silenced, all while cameras rolled and the champagne flowed. The accusations go all the way back to the 90s. And let's not forget Diddy's documented history of violence, assault charges, public brawls, video evidence, you name it. The man has been stomping on decency for years, and Hollywood and Democrats just shrugged it away. Now, this isn't just about one man's crimes. It's about a culture of silence and complicity. Diddy allegedly built a criminal enterprise with corporate entities like Bad Boy Entertainment and Combs Global acting as fronts for his exploitation. Record labels, studios, fashion lines, they were all part of the machine, making it easier to bribe, intimidate, and control. And let's not forget all the enablers in Hollywood who turned a blind eye because it was just too profitable to care. Anyway, the filing mentions Jay-Z again on page 12, where it alleges defendant Sean Carter is a male who, on information and belief, maintains residence in both New York and Los Angeles. Defendant Carter is more commonly known by his industry name of Jay-Z. Carter was identified in plaintiff's original complaint as Celebrity A. Prior to the filing of this amended complaint, Carter received a letter from plaintiff's counsel requesting a mediation to resolve this matter. Upon present information and belief, Jay-Z responded to said letter by not only filing an utterly frivolous lawsuit, but also orchestrating a conspiracy of harassment, bullying, and intimidation against plaintiffs' lawyers, their families, employees, and former associates in an attempt to silence plaintiff from naming Jay-Z herein. This effort was meant to scare plaintiff and to discredit her counsel. That effort failed. Indeed, plaintiff chose to file this amendment as a result of the egregious conduct perpetuated by Carter. Now, to recap, Jay-Z was previously named as Celebrity A in the original complaint, and before this updated complaint, which we're looking at now, dropped, he got a little note from the plaintiff's lawyers. The letter basically said, hey, let's sit down for mediation and resolve this like adults. Now, most reasonable people, when faced with serious allegations, might take a step back, call their legal team, figure out a strategy, but no, not Jay-Z. According to the filing, the man decided to go full mob boss instead. First, he countersues, which reads as absolutely retaliatory, but it doesn't stop there. Oh no, Jay-Z allegedly went all in, orchestrating what can only be described according to the legal filing as a conspiracy of harassment, bullying, and intimidation, not just against the plaintiff, mind you, but against her lawyers, their families, their employees, and even their former associates. We're talking full-scale scorched earth here, folks. The message here was clear. You come after Jay-Z, he'll come after everyone you know. And let me just say this, if you're innocent and you have nothing to hide, why the need to go full Tony Soprano? This kind of intimidation reeks of desperation, not confidence. Jay-Z is supposed to be a cool, calculated businessman, the kind who plays 4D chess while everyone is still reading the rules. But if these allegations are true, this move screams panic. And not only is it unethical, it's absolutely dumb. It escalated the situation, and instead of silencing the victim, it backfired spectacularly. Which brings us to the big question, why? Why would Jay-Z allegedly try to intimidate and threaten a victim's legal team? What's he so afraid of coming out? Maybe he didn't like the idea of his name being dragged into the swirling vortex of depravity that is Diddy. Maybe he figured his money and influence could make this all quietly go away. Or maybe, just maybe, he's got something to hide. Because innocent people don't need to rely on bullying lawyers as family like this, like they're guest starring in an episode of Breaking Bad. Now let's talk legal implications. If this is true, and Jay-Z really did conspire to harass and intimidate, that's not just bad optics, it's potentially illegal. Witness tampering, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to intimidate anyone? Bueller? These are serious allegations that could put him on very shaky ground in court. Not to mention, it gives the plaintiff's team a shiny new weapon. Proof of egregious conduct that makes their case even stronger. Then there's the PR fallout. Jay-Z has spent years crafting this image as a cultural leader, a business mogul, and a champion of justice. Mr. I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. But now he's being painted as a bully with a God complex, stomping on victims and their advocates like they're ants. That kind of reputation doesn't wash off easily. And more critically, how's that going to sit with the politicians and woke Hollywood elites he loves to rub elbows with? Spoiler alert, not well. The question now is simple. If you've got nothing to hide, Jay, why the overreaction? Because from where I'm sitting, this move didn't make you look powerful. It made you look scared. And all I got to do is look at the remainder of the allegations against Jay-Z in the lawsuit to understand why. The filing then goes on to request the venue to be in New York, a jury trial, and damages exceeding $75,000. After that, it describes the events that took place in September 2000. Jane Doe was 13 years old, and she was eager to attend the VMAs because it was on her bucket list. She managed to get near Radio City Music Hall in New York and, without a ticket, watched from outside on a Jumbotron. Determined to experience the celebrity scene, she chatted up some limo drivers, one of whom worked for Sean Combs. This driver, spotting an opportunity, told her she fit what Diddy was looking for and invited her to an after party. Later that night, she went to the spot as instructed by the driver, and the driver took her to a large gated residence. Once inside, she was asked to sign what she now believes was a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, before mingling with a crowd of celebrities. Drinks were flowing, drugs were visible, and the atmosphere was electric. Jane Doe alleges she accepted a drink, which left her feeling dizzy, and in a bit of a rest, she found an empty bedroom to lie down in. But soon after, Combs, along with Jay-Z and another unnamed female celebrity, entered the room. Combs, with a wild look in his eyes, aggressively declared, "You are ready to party," setting the stage for what would become a harrowing ordeal. And as you can see here, the lawsuit also shows how Combs and or his agents' employees inserted GHB into alcoholic drinks. Now, a word of warning, folks, this is where it gets very, very graphic. Combs then threw plaintiff toward a wall, causing plaintiff to fall. Plaintiff got up and stumbled, at which point Combs grabbed her again and threw her on the bed. At that point, Carter began removing plaintiff's clothes as she grew more and more disoriented. Plaintiff was held down by Carter as he vaginally raped her while Combs and Celebrity B watched. After Carter finished, he stepped back toward the wall. Combs then stepped forward and vaginally raped plaintiff while Carter and Celebrity B watched. Combs then knocked plaintiff down and attempted to force plaintiff to perform oral sex on him. She fought back, standing up quickly and punching out at the same time, hitting Combs in the neck. Taken aback, Combs stopped his attempt. When Combs backed away in surprise, plaintiff grabbed her clothes and shoes and ran out of the bedroom, holding her dress in front of her like a towel. She ran around the residence until she found the front door and was able to leave the party. Although there were other guests still at the party, no one appeared to take notice of plaintiff's distress or attempted to help her. Once outside, plaintiff put her clothes back on and left the scene in the dark. Plaintiff attempted to retrace the route taken by the limo driver. She kept running until she reached a gas station she noticed on the way to the party. A female clerk noticed her distress and allowed her to use the phone. Plaintiff called her father, admitted that she had lied about her whereabouts, and asked them to pick her up. Plaintiff's father arrived to pick her up shortly before dawn. After the assault, plaintiff fell into a deep depression which continues to affect her every facet of her life. Plaintiff suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder and seizure disorder caused by stress and trauma. Plaintiff has had difficulty maintaining normal relationships and lives largely withdrawn from society. Now here's the first cause of action from this explosive legal filing. Under the New York City Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act, the plaintiff, who was a minor at the time, has accused Sean Diddy Combs and Sean Jay-Z Carter of committing violent, gender-motivated crimes. We're talking about forcing her into non-consensual sexual acts at an after party. And let's be clear, she was 13. Consent wasn't just impossible, it was illegal. Now here's where it gets bigger. The lawsuit doesn't just point fingers at Combs and Jay-Z. It goes after the businesses that allegedly enabled this behavior. Combs companies, I think Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Global, the whole empire, are accused of being complicit. The filing says these businesses knew or should have known about the dangerous predatory behavior. They let their venues become playgrounds for abuse, failed to implement even basic safety measures, and didn't lift a finger to protect vulnerable attendees, like this 13-year-old girl. The plaintiff further alleges that Combs used his power and positions within these companies not just to commit these acts, but to silence the victims afterwards. And here's a kicker. This isn't a one-off accusation. The lawsuit cites Combs' long history of similar alleged behavior, painting a pattern of abuse that his companies either ignored or actively covered up. And it doesn't stop with Combs and Jay-Z. The lawsuit also mentions additional unidentified parties who played a role in enabling this violence, suggesting this isn't just about two individuals, but an entire network of complicity. So what's the plaintiff seeking? Compensatory damages for the physical and psychological harm she suffered, punitive damages to punish the defendants and send a message, legal fees, interest on damages, and the attachment of assets owned by Combs and Jay-Z in New York to ensure the plaintiff gets justice. This lawsuit was filed within the legal time frame under the VGM VPA and is taking aim at everyone involved: Combs, Jay-Z, the businesses, and anyone else complicit in creating what the lawsuit describes as a culture of gender-motivated violence. Overall, it's evident that this filing isn't just seeking to call out these individual alleged predators. It calls out the system that allows these kinds of alleged abuses to happen unchecked. If proven true, this lawsuit could blow the lid off an industry where power and influence have long been used as shields for the indefensible. All that being said, Jay-Z has responded to this legal filing through the Roc Nation social media account. He says, "My lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer," he puts that in quotations, "named Tony Busby. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. This lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. I have no idea how you have come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby, but I promise you, I have seen your kind many times before. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine? Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. My heart and support goes out to true victims in the world who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made a terrible error in judgment, thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project in Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes of honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against that. If not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. I look forward to showing you just how different I am. Right out the gate, we have to acknowledge something fundamental about the American legal system here. It's innocent until proven guilty. That principle matters, and no one, whether it's Jay-Z, Diddy, or anyone else, deserves to be convicted in the court of public opinion before the facts are laid out in a courtroom. Is that how these types of situations typically play out on social media? No, but it's worth mentioning anyway. That being said, the allegations in this case are serious. Accusations of sexual assault, intimidation, and gender-motivated violence can't be waved away with angry letters or bravado-filled statements. Jay-Z's response here is combative, defensive, and full of posturing about his Brooklyn honor. But what it doesn't do is address the specifics of what he's being accused of. He calls the claims idiotic, but let's be real, those aren't accusations you can just mock away. They demand answers. Now, I know we were just talking about the court of public opinion, but we all know that in today's cultural context, Jay-Z has already lost in the court of public opinion. Why? Because everything about these allegations feels so believable. It's believable because for years, the rap intelligentsia, Diddy, Jay-Z, and others, have created a culture where the degradation and exploitation of women has been normalized. Look at the music, look at the videos, look at the lyrics. This isn't something people are pulling out of thin air. It's baked into the legacy of the industry these men built. And the credibility issues don't stop there. Jay-Z specifically has a history that comes back to haunt him here. For example, rumors about his relationship with Foxy Brown when she was 15 have persisted since the mid-90s. These speculations gained traction in 2001 when Nas's diss track Ether implied a sexual relationship between the two. Now, over the years, both artists have consistently denied these allegations. In October 2024, Foxy, for example, addressed the rumors again, dismissing them as fake news and asserting that no non-disclosure agreement exists to silence her from talking about this. Now, whether that story is rumor or fact, they stuck to him like glue, very much like this one will. Then there's the Aaliyah situation, another name that resurfaces time and time again when we talk about men in the music industry preying on vulnerable young women. Aaliyah wasn't underage when she allegedly hooked up with Jay-Z, but let's not forget that her name is forever tied to R. Kelly, who illegally married her at 15 and built his career on a mountain of abuse of young women. And what did Jay-Z do back then? He worked with R. Kelly. He partnered with him on the Best of Both Worlds album and toured with him, even as whispers about R. Kelly were turning into screams. See, that's the problem here. It's not just about one allegation. It's about patterns of behavior, patterns of associations, patterns of silence when it mattered most. Jay-Z can write letters and call out conspiracy theorists all day long. But the truth is that this stuff will follow him forever, even if he's exonerated. It's the nature of the beast. Public perception doesn't care about legal verdicts. It cares about the cumulative weight of who you are, what you've done, and who you've stood by. And let's be honest, Jay-Z's association with Diddy doesn't help him here. Diddy's world has been unraveling for months now, with lawsuit after lawsuit painting him as a predator who weaponizes power to exploit and abuse. And the fact that Jay-Z has been radio silent on the Diddy situation has given his critics a narrative to run with. At the end of the day, we have to wait and see what happens next in the courtroom. The truth will eventually come out, one way or another. But whether Jay-Z wins or loses legally, the damage to his reputation is already done. Hollywood's depravity is nothing new, and we're not talking about isolated incidents here. The industry has been a playground for predators for decades, and no amount of glitz and glamour can keep these ugly truths buried any longer. The legacy Jay-Z has spent decades building is definitely on the line, as we've seen time and time again from R. Kelly to Harvey Weinstein. Hollywood loves to protect its own until the dam finally breaks. No amount of money, fame, or PR spin can save you once the curtain gets pulled back. When the truth comes knocking, the whole rotten system gets exposed. Anyway, you tell me what you think in the comments down below. Have a terrific day. Peace.